a Book Baddie.
Welcome to the Bound to Be Bad podcast,
a book club podcast where we discuss one book a season from the perspective of someone who has never read the book before.
and from the perspective of someone who has. This season, we are so excited to be reading Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros with you.
I'm Cierra, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm the wing leader.
And I'm Casper, my pronouns are they, she, and I'm the first year cadet.
We aim to rave and rant about anything and everything that comes to mind while reading. But please note, this podcast will be discussing book spoilers as we talk about each week's chapters.
As this will be my first time reading, spoilers for anything beyond the already read material is not fair game.
This podcast is run by adults who will be most likely using adult language and talking about adult themes. So please be aware of your surroundings while listening.
These thoughts and opinions are expressly our own and by no means reflect those of the original author. Reading is a privilege, books are art, and art is subjective.
That being said, we'd love for you to read along with us and share your thoughts and opinions as well.
So, without further ado, prepare to enter Basgiath War College.
Ready to get into 27?
Yes.
So I wanted to highlight the epigraph here. I don't know if you noticed. It's a recommendation for an award and to General Sorrengail. It says, for valor above and beyond the call of duty in the Battle of Strathmore, her bravery resulted not only in the destruction of a battery behind enemy lines, but also saved the lives of an entire company of infantry. I recommend Mira Sorrengail receive the Star of Navarre. But if the criterion is not met, which I assure you it has been, downgrading to the Order of the Talon would be a shame, but sufficient. I don't know if you remember which one she got, but she got the Order of the Talon, and it looks like it was Lilith Sorrengail's decision to downgrade that. Did you catch that?
I didn't catch that. Thank you for pointing that out. God damn.
It's mentioned in the very first chapter where she's assigning her name to sign up for the Writer's Quadrant, and he's like, you're Mira Sorrengail? You've got the Order of the Talon for blah, 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 blah. Knowing that it was Lilith's decision to not give her the better award. I'm just like, was there motive to that? Or was it just keeping your daughter in place? Are you protecting her because you know things, so you have a higher clearance? Like, what's the motive? Then I loved this interaction with Riddick where Mira flicks her wrist and sends Riddick flying backwards because he put his feet on the table.
Yeah. Oh, good lord. Oh, my boy.
It's one of those scenes I could see it so vividly without much description for it, and it just sounds so funny. Also, did you notice that when Violet is describing everybody in the squad, she forgets somebody? It says, for the listeners, we've been split into two groups for the day. Rihanna and Sawyer, Sienna, Nadine, and Heaton spent the morning with Devera. Then Dane, Riddick, Liam, Emery, Quinn, and I, with the tag-along of Xaden, spent the morning on a 2-hour flight. Right? And we know she's there because when Mira showed up, she's like, Sorrengails are weird.
Yeah, where's my girl? The
Did
hell?
she mind wipe Violet? Who knows?
I didn't catch that. Now I have questions.
That's my goal, is to just give you more questions than answers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It'll only get worse as the series goes on.
Oh, God. Says Mira keeps one eye on him at all times as well. So she's suspiciously quiet since last night, meaning Xaden. So Mira's keeping an eye on Xaden. And Violet says, and me, I can't seem to keep my eyes to myself. And relatable. I ogle my man a lot.
So Emery asks a question about Mira's setup. They're essentially playing D&D for Battle Brief.
Yeah.
Everybody is being very literal. Mira narrows her eyes on him, being Emery, and he sits up a little straighter. Another one of the Montserrat writers is like, I like this game, like lacing their fingers behind their neck. They're getting such enjoyment out of seeing her belittling other people because it's not them for once. It's so good.
I love it.
Little morsel was given to us when Mira calls out Dane, and he startles because he's just been glowering at Xaden the whole time. And I was like, deserved, you dumbass, but also so delectable.
Yes. Oh, tiny little morsels.
Breadcrumbs.
Perfectly toasted breadcrumbs on top of the best mac and cheese one has ever made. That was weird.
You've done weirder.
I assure you I have. Okay, so going off of that is very much Mira belittling the squad, saying you are all so fucking literal. I love brutal Mira so much, but I also really love the way that Rebecca has written the scene as very much a tool for her to explain how things work. And it still feels very like a very natural conversation. It doesn't feel just like straight up exposition. And it also does allow us to see like more into Mira's personality, especially in her role in the
World? In the war?
War. Let's go with that. I was going to say the military, but it's not really. But like, you know, amongst the writers, her leadership role.
Because I don't think it states what her title is, but I believe a lieutenant, maybe. There's like first lieutenant and second lieutenant, maybe.
Yeah, I know how rankings work in the militaries.
I will say this chapter is one of the most memorable ones for me. Before I reread this book, I just love the way it's written. The tension between Dane and Xaden and Violet is also juicy. New abilities happen that are like some of my favorite types of abilities in fantasy books.
Yes.
Mira asks, how many of you have been called out as third years? When Emery and Xaden raise their hands, Dane looks like his head is about to explode, and he barks, that's not correct. We're never called into service until graduation. Back in chapter 5, Violet says to Rhiannon in their very first battle brief, third years have only been sent to Midland posts as reinforcements, never the front. She also says in that chapter that she kept her ears open around her mom enough to know that much. So while this may not be information that Dane was privy to, with his dad being her mom's aide, if Violet knew that just from overhearing, I feel like maybe Dane was a little oblivious, or at least wrote it off as false subconsciously, because what Dane and Violet have in common is they're both not necessarily rule followers, Dane for sure, but Violet knows when to break a rule when necessary, or knows the rules enough to be able to bend around them, whereas Dane views them as law. But they both have certain respect or maybe admiration for rules in general, and Violet is slowly leaving that trait behind. But I just found it so funny that Violet mentions this exact thing. Like, they're at a Midland post right now. Violet already knew this information. Dane should have too, because he had the same capabilities. This wasn't a scribe thing specifically. This was a Violet learned it through her mom thing.
Yeah. It's an upbringing thing, like an upbringing that they shared.
And then also the sarcastic thumbs up thing. Freaking love it. I think I mentioned this last time because Riddick had done it, but that's something my partner Dan does all the time. It's just it's everything. I love it. It's my favorite.
I also had this highlighted in my notes. I just wrote all caps, sassy paper man, I love you, and then in parentheses, fuck you, Dane. So good.
A couple of paragraphs down from that, Mira's trying to get the first years to cooperate in her D&D game. She says, think of the power in this room. Think of what each individual writer brings to the table and how you'd use those powers in unison to conquer your objective. First off, before I continue that thought a little bit here, this is exactly what Violet did during the squad battles. Like, she stood up in front of them, and before plotting things out, she took into account every single person's signet before making her plan. It just shows how naturally gifted she is as a leader, regardless of if she wants to be one or not. And then I find this exact quote to be foreshadowing for later during war games, and I'll bring it up again if I remember when we get there. But the immediate paragraph after that, Liam says, but they don't teach that to first years, which, again, tick in Violet's corner for knowing that already as a first year. And then he's on one side of her. We know Xaden's on the other side of her. And I'm like, damn, you got the best seats in the house, girlfriend. I'm jealous. And then Mira glances at the whorls of magic on his wrist. But to Liam's credit, he doesn't tug his sleeve down. A, proud mama moment because Liam didn't let her glaring affect him. And B, I just wrote, Mira, you be careful what you're about to say to my son. I will come through this book and beat your ass. Leave my boy alone, Mira.
Yeah.
But also, I love you. Let's be friends.
It's basically like following along this idea of like Mira having that judgment towards like the marked ones. I clear my throat. Mira's gaze meets mine, and I lift my eyebrow at her in clear warning. Don't fuck with my friends. First of all, Violet like standing up to her sister and like claiming these people that she knows are like against what her family believes in, so to speak, and be like, no, those are my people, back off. Like, I know you're my sister, but back the fuck off. But also just that, again, that like nonverbal communication.
Yeah. I literally wrote sister nonverbal communication.
Like, it doesn't need to be said. You just know that person so freaking well that just a look or a gesture like completely gets across exactly what you mean.
I also highlighted this and I put, it shows how close that these two are, even with like the 6-year age gap between them. Also, Mira recognizing and although unable to believe Violet's like line in the sand, she's able to quickly adjust, and knowing that right now her role is to be a professor in this mock battle brief, and she needs to treat each of these cadets as a student instead of letting her own prejudices in. So while she doesn't agree necessarily with Violet's change of heart or the way Violet's eyes have been opened or the way she's accepting of these marked ones, she's like, let me rein my shit in so I can be a better professor in this scenario. And I appreciated that quick turn on Mira's behalf. Like, unlike other leadership in this room, she was able to see that she wasn't being a good leader and decided to change that immediately. That shows excellent adaptability. A little bit before that, I had highlighted. It says, and just like my grief at Brendan's loss was directed at Xaden that first day at the parapet, there will be more than one writer who misdirect their own anger at marked writers. And this is this is Violet's stance now. It shows her empathy. And it's especially because this comes right before that whole sister nonverbal communication thing. She sees both sides now. And while her don't fuck with my friends at Mira was it came across the way it was meant to come across, I think Violet also sees, I understand your prejudice because before I knew better, I also had them. So Violet's able to extend grace and is more forgiving than I am. Hurrah!
Hurrah again.
So if you are watching or if you are listening, sorry for the abrupt change in scenery or our outfits or what we look like. It's a new day. We had to stop recording.
So if things look different,
yeah.
nuh-uh.
No.
Pretend you see nothing.
I didn't know where you were going with that. But yes, no you don't. Yes, no. No, and. Yes, maybe.
Yes, but what?
All of the above.
Yes.
My highlight was when Dane's like, I'm in command. And Liam's like, our wing leader is here. Xaden sets his dragon on the table and leans back in his chair, draping his arm across the back of mine. A move that makes Dane grit his teeth. And I was just like, Xaden is actively making Dane jealous, and this is delicious.
Exactly what my note is as well is boy is straight up trying to make Dane jealous, and I am here for it.
So
especially
good.
The line he says right after that, give Atos here the position we all know he craves. Like, ooh, double entendre.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
Just wiggling for no reason. I want to get your opinion on the ability to mind speak that Xaden and Violet have in this situation. Xaden says, you haven't even seen me start to be a dick. And she's like, that was his voice in my fucking head.
I'm not gonna lie, I definitely saw this coming because there were a couple of times, I think right after she bonded Taryn, like she says something, it definitely like as it's written in her monologue, but Xaden answers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, interesting. Like, could be coincidence, but it could be, it could be something more. So I kind of did see it coming. So I'm really glad it did pay off. And I think it's awesome. Especially assuming that you can like control it, that it's not just like he can like read her mind when the fuck ever he wants and things like that. But it's more like sending messages.
Texting.
Yeah, essentially. I like that.
It's one thing to like talk into someone's brain, and then it's another thing to like see their thought. So I think it's definitely more the previous statement.
I like it.
It's one of my favorite, like, this isn't the first book to do it, and it's not going to be the last book to do it, but I love it because the possibilities, just think about how they're going to build tension by speaking sexy thoughts at each other.
Oh, God, yeah.
In public places.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. I didn't consider this. Oh, no.
And now you're like, can we read the book faster, please?
So let's wrap up this podcast episode so that I can go read. He fucking winked. And is that a hint of a smile? Xaden is just outright flirting with her now and like hardcore in front of everyone too. Like people are around. They can see. I'm sure someone's paying attention. Hello, Azriel. I just freaking love it.
I feel like this is almost a complete 180 in his interactions with her in public so far, because they've had that one kiss and then nothing really. They've been around each other, around other people, but nothing this like intense with his arm around her chair and winking. And
they've definitely displayed hostilities with each other before, or at least Violet to Xaden. They are not very subtle.
No, and I'm grateful. I glance at Mira, who's watching the play-by-play with raised brows, and I was like, big sister senses are tingling? Like, this is such a, as this scene plays out before we go into the next scene of this chapter, it's interesting watching Mira's take on it because she's brand new eyes on this dynamic. And so I've been kind of just like following along with how she interacts with specifically the three, Dane, Violet, and Xaden. There was a line of thought that I was following.
And then it disappeared.
Yep. Don't know where it went. I'm sure it'll come up. It's probably further in my notes, but I don't want to waste time trying to find it. If it comes up, it'll come up. But I just wanted to mark that because as a oldest sister, I relate to her. It's interesting watching your younger siblings just living their life and you're just like, what's going through your head? Mm-hmm. What are you doing?
So right after I glance at Mira, who's watching the play-by-play with raised eyebrows. And Dane asks Xaden, like, what the hell are you even doing here, bud? Like,
bud.
Oh, because Xaden responds to him, you're more than aware that Sigale and Taryn are mated. Dane goes, 3 days? You couldn't make it 3 days? Like, shut the fuck up. Sit back down. Like, we know why you're angry. Chill out. And then Violet responding, it has nothing to do with him. That's up to Taryn and Sigale and Xaden in their psychic connection, saying to her, you never considered that it was you I couldn't stay away from?
I will turn beet red right now.
Oh, Lord. Like, in my notes, I put, boy, if you're going to flirt that hard, you better back it up. Don't be teasing. That was a line.
Can you imagine if someone said that into your brain while, like, making sexy eye contact with you? I can't. You went catatonic. Yeah, that was one of my faves. Dane says, of course you rush to defend him. Dane hurls a hurt glare at me, though how you can forget that this guy wanted to kill you 6 months ago is beyond me. I just wrote, boo fucking who?
Okay. But then, like, skipping forward a tiny, tiny bit, Violet responding to him,
About 9 paragraphs down.
Yeah. Like, you want to do your job? I asked Dane, smiling sweetly. I mean, how you can forget you're the squad leader is beyond me. Like, oh, that is something that I would absolutely pull. Like, I have done things like that where, like, you repeat the line back to someone. Ooh, it's so sassy. It stings so good. Like, fuck you.
But a little bit before that, I put here Violet's 1-2 punch, because she literally takes a leadership role, reluctantly of course, to show Dane up. So she says Mira has the ability to extend the shields if the wards are down. So the first thing I would do is send her to scout the area with Tyne. We need to know if we're dealing with infantry or griffin riders, which gets Mira's approval. And then she says the line of, you want to do your job because she literally just did it for you.
Yeah.
I loved this line from the Montserrat riders because they're literally just at a movie theater. They're like, do you boys just want to whip it out and measure? It would be faster.
Oh my gosh, I had this one highlighted as well. In my notes, I put, why is everyone so sassy? I can only fall in love with so many paper people, and this one doesn't even have a name.
It's Messina or Exall. We never see them again.
Exactly. I can't keep falling in love with paper people. We only see once.
Every time you say paper people, for some reason it puts one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people leader.
Flying paper people. Paper people, paper people, paper. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Paper
We need
people,
to make
paper
it
people.
more difficult. I don't know how. Sassy
Purple paper people.
purple
Purple
paper.
paper people.
But they're not purple.
Could be.
It could be. You don't know.
Sometimes I hear the things that come out of my mouth and I'm just like, why did you say that?
It's all good. I do the same. I just thought this was such a cool way to use a power that I personally kind of wrote off. Like, okay, what's so cool about air wielding? But Dane's like finally doing his job. And so he's asking Emery, you're an air wielder, right? So you can shape your dragon's flames, lead them through the occupied parts of the keep without killing civilians. And I was like,
Yeah,
I
thought that was really cool.
I would never have thought to do that with air wielding. That's freaking brilliant.
Yeah, that was so good. So good. Because, yeah, no, I wouldn't have thought of that either.
That involves me having more than one brain cell.
I'd just be sitting here imagining Aang on top of his little air bowl, spinning around.
We get to see some of Xaden's Shadow Daddy powers.
So, asks Dane, "What's your signet?" And he responds with, "Above your pay grade." Like, shut the fuck up, Dane. You're not that special, okay? Sit down. No one likes you.
Quote, is the quadrant really making Dane keep the memory reading secret? Had him reaching for my head the day Amber burned been a loss of control? How has he gotten this far without telling anyone what his signet is? And I was just like, I've been wondering this too, Rebecca, because he was very public about like, give me the memory, but your signet's classified. But with Imogen being able to wipe memories.
I love that their signets are very similar while also being like completely opposite.
They're also in the same school year, so I love that. Like,
yeah. And like, while Dane may be the squad leader, like, I don't think he's that great of a leader. Whereas Imogen is just very naturally, to me, a good leader. Like, she's tough. She's pretty brutal. She's no nonsense. But she has like leadership skills and like good qualities that make a great leader. Whereas Dane is too fucking strict, too rigid in following the rules. And yeah. I mean, I could go on and on about why I hate Dane, but I will digress.
I wanted to know your thoughts on this paragraph here, where Violet's thinking back to what Sigale told her about signets. It says, what had Sigale said about signets? It reflects who you are at the core of your being. Don't do it. Okay, sorry. The audiobook, like, she changes her voice to sound like Sigale, but she makes her almost like posh. Like, it reflects who you are at the core of your being. I'm just like, okay. But my brain reads it that way every time now.
Fantastic.
So it says, what had Sigale said about signets? It reflects who you are at the core of your being. It makes sense. Mira is protective. Dane has to know everything. And Xaden... ... has secrets. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on Violet's before we find out that she becomes a lightning wielder? Like, at this point when you were first reading it, did this make you think, like, oh, well, what could Violet be based off of what you know about her at her core?
You would think that, but I got so like into reading that I didn't like actually stop to think about what it was. And so I ended up just reading because it's in the next chapter that they're like lightning wielder. So I just read through it. I was like, oh yeah, cool. But like it definitely has me dissecting like what everyone's signets mean about them. But it makes me wonder if Imogen might also be a little bit forgetful, which I understand because ADHD.
So she needed to wipe everybody else's memories?
Yes. So that they don't realize how bad she is at remembering things.
Okay.
Yes, she can't remember, but neither can you.
You turned it around. I understand now. I'm on board.
Yes. But yeah, I seriously wanted, like, I need to sit down and just like collect because I've been keeping track of like what everyone's signets are that we've found out about. I really need to just sit down and dissect what does this mean about this person. A couple little quips that I really, really enjoyed. And Taryn are like bickering essentially in their heads. And Violet thinking slash saying about the connection that she has with Xaden and how he can speak directly into her head. Her saying, well, it's a pain in my ass right now. And then just her monologue, I miss Andarna. But even better than that is Taryn's response. You have the power to be a pain in the ass too. Trust me. Point for Sassy Dragon Dad. Oh my God. I love him. Like, that made me laugh so hard. So freaking hard. It was so great.
I marked that as a favorite. He gives like the dad that's like when you fall off of a bike and you scrape your knee and he's like, well, stop bleeding. That's his sense of humor. It's just like dry, something you can't help, but I'm going to poke fun at it anyway. Kind of a humor. I love him.
Me too.
Him with a B.
Himba.
Himba. So they get pulled into the office or the hallway by school teacher Mira. And as soon as they get out there, Dane's like, sound shield, nice. And Mira instantly is just, shut up. This is like the second time she's done it to Dane. And I'm just like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Put him in his place, Mira. I love it. Her line to Dane, I don't know what bug has crawled up your ass, Dane Atos, but have you forgotten that you're a squad leader? Like, God, beautiful Mira. I love you. Give it to him. Make sure he never forget who in charge here. Fuck you, Dane.
So they're following her, Mira, into the stairwell. And Violet realizes that she's pissed. And she's like, and that's not anything I want a part of. I retreat another step, but with Xaden beneath me on the stairs, there's nowhere left to go. So you know how I like to pay attention to protecting versus supporting between Xaden and Dane? Well, this can just be chalked up to, they're just walking single file. I can see this being Mira's calling them out. Mira and Xaden haven't spoken to each other. There's just been a lot of glaring. I don't know if it's both ways. I know for sure Mira's probably been glaring at Xaden. A little bit later, when Xaden does, spoiler alert for this chapter that we've already read, steps up beside Violet, it says his hands are loose at his sides. Like he's anticipating a fight of some sort. And so he's keeping his hands loose because he doesn't know if he'll need to reach for a weapon. His power, yeah. And so I can see thought process wise that Dane would follow because he's a little, what's the word I was gonna use? He's like a little goody two shoes, like, oh, okay, teacher said to go outside, I'm going outside.
Yeah, teacher's pet.
Yes, that's the term I was looking for, thank you. And I can imagine Zane just be like, well, after you. Because while he knows that they're going into a confrontation, he knows that she can handle herself. Granted, it's also against her sister, so like...
So especially against her sister.
Yeah, and so he's just like, I'll be back here if you need me, but you got this. And so I wanted to point that out because I love it. This is the first of this chapter, and I believe that makes 6 times overall that he's supported by either being beside or behind. So Dane yells, he is the worst possible thing for her. He being Xaden, her being Violet. Mira says, oh, I'm not arguing that. And I was like, well, y'all are really showing your true colors here. At least when it comes to your prejudice against Xaden and marked ones. But then in that same paragraph of, oh, I'm not arguing that, Mira says, but there's nothing anyone can do about the choices of dragons. They don't bother with the opinions of mere humans, do they? While I'm like, yes. Put Dane in his place. Mira will contradict this in a little bit. But I'm just like, so which is it, Mira? Because you can't chastise them, but then still know that, like, this is a boundary that nobody can get over. So, like, get over it. I don't know. But I loved this line because the way she phrases it, I'm like, yes, this is Dane to a T. She says, And if I'd known that you were going to be such a hard ass with zero flexibility for the things she can't control, I never would have told her to find you after crossing the parapet. Sometimes I think we all need a Mira in our life. Someone who's just blunt and hits the nail on the head every time. Doesn't sugarcoat anything.
Hell yeah. Give me more Mira.
Mira's starting to turn on Xaden and Violet after dismissing Dane. And Xaden says, it wasn't my choice. I'm like, that's not what you said to Violet in her head. I just wanted to know what you thought. Do you think it was because of Sigale that they're there? Or do you think Xaden was like, I miss her. We should go to Montserrat?
I mean, por qué no los dos? You know? Little column A, little column B.
The world will never know.
The world may never know.
Yeah.
I can definitely see it being like, I can almost picture it being a conversation between the two of them. Just like, I miss my partner. How about you? Yeah. You want to go over there? Yeah.
I want to see how their conversation would have gone. I want more of everybody's conversations with their dragons.
Yes.
I think it'd be so fun.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, there are some specifically I'd be really curious about, like Dane and
Calf.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I'm real curious about how that goes.
I want to know Riddick and Atrams.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
Rhiannon would probably be less jokey with Fierge. Sawyer and Sleeg, I think they would just be really cute, like wholesome. Who else would be fun? I mean, obviously Xaden and Sigale, like sassy mommy and sassy paperboy. Who else would be fun? I think Imogen could be fun with their dragon.
Gotta love my paper people.
Possessive paper people.
Possessive paper people. Possessive paper people. Possessive paper people.
Somehow that made it easier for you to say it.
I know. I think it's because I like consciously stopped after people and started again. I don't know. Brain work mysterious ways.
That it do. Especially yours.
Yep.
Violet says, what are we supposed to do? Tell the giant flame-throwing dragons how it's going to be? And I'm just like, if Mira believes what she said to Dane about, like, there's nothing anyone can do about the choices of dragons, she immediately then, when Violet's like, what do we do? Tell them off? And she's like, yeah, make it make sense, Mira. Which is it?
I can kind of see it being like when it comes to these big decisions like the bonding and things like that, like dragon don't give a shit. Dragon gonna do what dragon wants. But once you're bonded, and like especially how strong of a bond Violet seems to have with Taryn, being able to like have some leeway there, like have some autonomy. But yeah, she didn't verbalize that great, did she?
Nah, and I get like this is also really Mira's first interaction with it. Like she may have known about it peripherally, not being in the war college, but then seeing it and then seeing the dynamic. This is her first real time processing it, and I feel like she's processing it out loud. So I give her grace in this scenario, but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know, maybe process internally.
Yes.
I have no room to talk. I process everything out loud. I walk around like a crazy person just talking to myself.
It helps to hear the thoughts out loud.
It does. I don't know why.
Because then when it sounds crazy, you realize how crazy it sounds.
Maybe that's it.
I just love Mira just laying into Dane, like giving him what for. Like she does not hold back. She says exactly what she's thinking, and she is not letting him get away with shit. And I just fucking love it. I love seeing Dane be put in his place.
It doesn't happen enough.
Yeah.
It needs to happen at least once in every chapter, Rebecca.
Mm-hmm. So Mira's like warning Violet about Xaden, and she says to her, you won't ever become who Taryn can push you to be. Is that what you're after, Ryerson? And that would just like, that hurt my heart. Like, that's a good boy. He's a good boy. You don't know it yet. You're not giving him enough grace. Don't be mean to him, please.
Especially because Mira never had to deal with him in the Writer's Quadrant. She was too old by the time he finally made it. And so this is all just based off of what they've been told about the rebellion that happened. And even then, to my knowledge, it was just Xaden's dad, not Xaden himself. So, like, putting the sense of the father on the son seems
a little harsh.
Yeah. She says, because you can't live this way, Violet. You'll be the one who ends up missing the training you need because he's the more powerful of the two of you right now. Implying Mira knows Violet's going to be great. And I love, while I'm going to be dogging on Mira for just how short-sighted a lot of her criticisms of Xaden are, everything comes from how deeply she cares for Violet in this scenario. Just the dichotomy of how much she loves Violet and wants Violet to be her very best versus her just learned hatred of Xaden is interesting and very thought-provoking, and I don't necessarily know if I have the brain power to put it eloquently, but I'm going to try.
I understand.
And it makes me a little sad because Violet doesn't catch the right now bit. Like, she's so focused on helping Mira to see that Xaden isn't as bad as she thinks in this moment, because literally in the next paragraph, Violet defends Xaden multiple times. Like, you're wrong about him, or that won't happen. And I feel like, Xaden's taking this into account. He's like, oh, she's defending me. This is real sweet. And he's just standing back there, letting it happen. Like, she's got this, but also, she's defending me. Like, I'm just imagining he's very inwardly giddy.
Mm-hmm.
And that must be so sweet, because knowing just Xaden and how, with, like, the marked ones under the tree, he's very, I don't know if paternal is the right word, big brotherly. I feel like Xaden's not used to having other people do that for him, and so her standing up for him now, I wonder if it's also what kind of prompts him to then step beside her once the fight gets a bit more. Granted, Mira's also throwing more accusations at him a little bit later on this page, but it's almost like it's real sweet that you're defending me, but I can also defend myself. Let's be a team in this front, kind of a thing. I don't know, I just love him, so maybe I'm just projecting. I really loved the wordplay on this line. It says, he might wield shadows, Violet, but give him his way and you'll become one. It's like, hey.
That was a really good line, yeah. I like that.
Mira makes a lot of, from what she knows, good points, because she doesn't know Xaden. But Violet thinks to herself, I trust Xaden, at least I think I do. But Mira's right. There are infinite ways to demolish someone without ending their life. I just wrote, damn it, Mira! This is gonna fuck with Violet's head for a while. And we'll see that in chapter 28.
It fucks with me at my head a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Like, don't plant seeds of doubt. I don't like it.
And that's something that I have issue with a lot in this chapter. Just a lot of people use very gaslighty language when trying to convince other people to do things, specifically Violet. And it's just like, because Mira, Dane, Xaden, all of them do it to her, I think, at some point in this chapter. And I'm just like, I get she's headstrong and you're just like, we are pressed for time. I need you to just do this thing. And so they're resorting to maybe not as healthy of techniques of persuasion, and this is kind of one of those sowing seeds of doubt that I'm just like, I get it's coming from a good place, but you don't know. We're giving very much, but Daddy, I love him energy.
Yeah, we are.
I hate it. So then Mira goes on to say, do you even know why he hates our mother so much? Why the kids like him are put on the para? And then she gets cut off. But I'm just like, how do you know, A, how he's feeling? Quit assuming. And B, why did you interrupt her, Xaden? I want to know what she was going to say.
Yeah. Damn it, boy.
Because clearly she knows something that Violet doesn't in the situation. What do you know about Xaden and your mom that Violet doesn't? I would like to know. But don't assume that he hates her. You don't know that.
Fight you, Mira. I won't. You kick my ass, but,
I will intend to fight you.
Yeah.
So Xaden's little speech when he interrupts, he's like, I'm right here. And this is when he steps to the same step as her. So they're standing side by side. This is the second time in this set of chapters. So the 7th overall in the book. He goes on to say, in case you didn't notice, Mira says, you're kind of hard to miss. He's like, you're not listening. I am here. Taryn didn't drag her back to Basgaiath. He didn't break through her shields and pour his emotions into her. He didn't demand she fly across the fucking kingdom. Your sister is still right here. I'm the one who left my post, my position, and my executive officer in charge of my wing. She's not missing out on shit. And I was like, damn, Xaden, okay.
I had this highlighted too, and in my notes I put, see? Good boy! He loves her. But yeah, I love that. Not that Xaden is one to back down from anyone, but like standing up to Mira and giving her what for. Like, hey, you're wrong. I'm fucking here. Accept it.
He's like, you're making all sorts of accusations without even knowing. I don't hate Violet. And here is my proof. His feelings on their mom. Who knows? Because it's not specified.
We'll figure it out eventually, I'm sure.
But when it comes to Violet, he's here. It made me so sad. So Violet says, we'll figure it out. She's like so desperate to have Mira understand. It feels almost like when you have a boyfriend that your family wouldn't approve of. I say boyfriend just because I'm straight, and that's the only experience I've had. When you have a partner and you bring them to your family for the first time and you know that's not somebody that they would approve of, and you're just so desperate for their consent that she puts her foot in her mouth and she essentially reveals information she didn't necessarily want to tell Mira, and says that she can't keep her seat with Taryn. I'm just like, foot, meat, mouth, take 3? I don't know. At this point, I felt bad for Violet in this situation because it quickly changes the focus of this argument.
Yes, it does.
Mira It's like, but you look so much stronger now. Violet says, my joints and muscles are stronger because Imogen makes me lift these horrible weights, but that doesn't fix me. This broke my heart. Mira, being the caring older sister, is like, I didn't mean it like that. You're not anything that needs to be fixed. I just didn't know you can hold your seat, and clearly overreacted to finding that out. Why didn't you tell me? And then Violet's like, because there's nothing that you can do about it. There's nothing anyone can do about the way I'm made. And there's a long, uncomfortable silence. And I'm just like, the feelings of Violet not measuring up, it's not something Mira necessarily says. She's reacting to finding out news that you're not able to keep your seat. And Violet is kind of projecting a little bit, I think, in this scenario, because she does feel
inferior.
Yes, thank you. She feels inferior in this moment. Violet is not somebody who complains about her chronic illness, really, ever. It's like, I've run into a snag because of it, but I'm not just needing to figure out how to navigate around this new snag that's come my way.
I think that almost, especially in like this instance, it's almost to her detriment, where like she's been having this problem with keeping her seat for a while, and she hasn't been able to figure out a way to work around her chronic illness. And like, this is a moment where she probably should have asked someone else for help, but I think has that mentality of, I have to do it myself because no one is gonna, like, there's nothing anyone can do about the way I'm made. This is my problem. I have to take care of it.
And also, I don't want that pity. Like, I can do it myself. That kind of independence that can be a hindrance, but also a boon. Adored Xaden's response to the long, uncomfortable silence. He says, she's getting better. His voice calm and even. The first few weeks were disastrous. Violet instantly is up to banter, and she's like, hey, he caught me before I hit the ground. Xaden's just like, barely. And I loved this interaction because clearly Violet's hurt in this situation, whether or not it's because of Mira or internalized things that Violet is just now expressing. And Xaden's first instinct is to make her feel better in this situation. And then not only by standing up for her, but then bantering with her in front of Mira, like showing their dynamic in a healthier way than the jealousy stuff that she was seeing in the previous scene. And then I hated this line from Mira. It says, all that power in the hands of someone with your history is bad enough. He wasn't responsible for the rebellion. He just happens to be the son of the rebellion leader. I mean, as far as we know, if this happened, we know in the next chapter that he's 23, that the rebellion happened about 6 years ago. He was like, what, 18 when the rebellion happened?
Like 17, something like that.
Yeah. How much authority do you think a 17/18-year-old would have had in a rebellion? And I'm assuming Mira probably knows that it was Fen who killed Brennan. So are you projecting your feelings on Xaden because Fen's dead? Where are you coming off on this? Because it's not correct.
Yeah, because we also have no idea what Xaden's relationship with his father was like. For all we know, he could have been adamantly against what his dad was doing.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like she's trying to proactively be defensive in supposed retaliation for him coming at her when he hasn't done anything to Mira. They haven't spoken this entire time. This is all just assumed. And so it's just like,
girl, knock it off.
Yeah. But that ties in beautifully to like what Violet was saying earlier that I highlighted about how the way Violet had treated Xaden that first day because of Brennan. Mira's probably just doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, likely so.
I love this book.
I do too.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
And that we can like have these deeper conversations about it.
Me too.
It makes
It's
me
fun.
happy.
Yeah.
So Violet argues that they can help. She doesn't want to leave because it's her sister. Fair. Xaden will also offer to help, and I wonder what you think this is. Like, how much of this is him legitimately seeing that they're in danger and wants to help, or how much of it is him being like, well, if Violet wants to help, I'll stay and help if Violet wants to, kind of a thing.
There's definitely a mix of both because like there's a reason he's the wing leader. There's a reason he has this leadership position. He obviously like has a sense of responsibility. He also knows that he is very powerful and that he can help. So it makes sense that like he wants to stay to help because that's who he is as a person. But yeah, there's also the like Violet wants to stay. I want to be there for Violet. But I don't think that's the majority of it. I think more of it comes from like, this is who he is. But the care that he has for Violet is what takes him away and like keeps him with her.
Yeah, agreed. So now to the if you love me line here. I just wrote, I get it, but I hate the way it was delivered. It kind of sounds like when Dane asks if she trusted him when he tried to convince her to choose Andarna over Tarn. You trust me, don't you? Then you've got to go with Andarna. You love me, don't you? Then you got to leave so I don't worry about you.
It's very gaslighty.
I get the sentiment. You don't necessarily mean anything bad by it. Just deliver it a different way.
Yeah. I think, yeah, people often don't really consider how their words come across, like, regardless of their intent. Especially when you are not communicating your intent. Because it's one thing to, like, say something and realize, oh, that sounded bad, that's not how I meant it. But most people don't do that, I feel like. And I feel like there are a lot of just, like, colloquialisms and, like, phrases that are so ingrained into us, like, as a society, that we don't really stop to think about it. But words have power and words have meaning, and you never know how someone is going to take the words you say in the way that you say them.
Also, do not get me wrong, I love that it's phrased this way in this book because it's so realistic. This is exactly how someone would phrase it. If you're just quickly trying to be like, well shit, get out of here, get to safety, I got stuff to do. So Mira entrusts Xaden to get her out. And Xaden's line of, even if you don't trust me, I'm the best weapon you have. Mira responds, if what you say is true, then you're the best weapon she has. I was like, I love this. Because it's like, I was listening. Prove it. Earn my trust, I guess. We have no choice. Conversation's practically over. We gotta go. But just, he is gonna be her best weapon. They can both be each other's weapon. And then we get another call back to the, I love you, don't die, I'd hate to be an only child.
I love that it's become like a thing for them.
Yeah.
It's cute, it's sad, but it's cute. Oh, it just tugs at my heartstrings.
They've turned trauma into something to bond over.
Yeah. Ooh. Gotta love that trauma bonding.
Xaden essentially is hauling Violet out since Mira said that. He's like, you don't have to tell me twice on it. But she thinks this feels like the exact sort of thing we'd never hear about in Battle Brief. Keep this in mind for when we get to chapter 28, because it wasn't going to be something you were ever going to learn about if you hadn't stayed outside of Markham's office. Mira says, you want me to trust you, Ryerson? Get her the fuck out of here and find a way for her to keep her seat. We both know she's dead if she doesn't. I just wrote, and he do.
And he do. And it's a very clever way.
And also, just in general, the three of them, including Dane, learned quite a bit from Mira this trip. Like, as not filler, I guess, as this set of chapters can kind of feel before we get back into War Games and back into Basgiath. This was all very necessary from a writing standpoint. We learn a lot of things that then get implemented within War Games in the next chapter, and it's just like, that's what I love about these books. It's so jam-packed. There can't be filler because everything is needed. There's something important sprinkled everywhere. Don't sleep on any chapter. So he's manhandling her, essentially. And she's like, but Taryn can help them. Xaden says, your sister is right. You have to make it out. So we're leaving. Now fucking climb. Not him, not the other cadets. You specifically have to make it out. And I'm just like, Xaden.
Not me, not Hermione, you.
Yes. We get a kiss.
We have a kiss.
A kiss.
We have a kiss.
Kiss.
Kiss. Yes. So Xaden kisses Violet again. Huzzah. And I know, like, she thinks that the only reason he did this is to distract her and buy time. And, like, that, I will give her credit. That might be a little bit part of it. That, like, yes, he needs to buy time if he wants to distract her. But he absolutely did it because he wanted to. Like, if he really wanted to buy time, there are other ways to buy time. Like, he kissed her because he wanted to kiss her. And, like, I just want her to see that and realize that.
His leave for me, Violet. I'm so torn about this line because I think it's sweet, but at the same time I'm like, emotional manipulation. Like, you know, she's going to react negatively to the kiss in that it ends up lining up with Taryn swooping in to pick her up. And so it's just like saying this line immediately after kissing her, almost for Violet, I feel like cements this idea that he's doing it just as a way to buy time until Taryn gets there. And so I'm torn because I'm like, confession adjacent? Like, if you can't leave for you, leave for me. Because you're bound together, or because you love her, or because...
Like, that's what I had in my notes as well. He could very much mean it in a, like, we're bonded, if you die, I could die kind of way. But the way he says it, like, I feel like he's trying so hard to tell her how he feels, like, the best way that he can, so that she knows, clearly he understands that she cares for him. Like, if we are going, like, it's a little bit emotionally manipulative route, then there's an understanding there that she cares for him and he knows that. It's a frustrating line because it's simultaneously really sweet while being a little bit enraging
Yeah.
and just kind of confusing overall.
I thought this was such cool imagery that leads to, I guess, hinting that Xaden and Taryn were probably in cahoots about how to get Violet, like, off this roof. It says, the enormous shape of Taryn appears behind him, and Xaden drops to the stone floor just as Taryn flies directly above, his shadow falling over me a second before his foreclaw scoops me up, like he's done countless times when I've fallen mid-flight. So Taryn is coming from behind where Xaden's facing. In front of my face is facing the camera is Xaden's face. Taryn's coming from behind. He doesn't look back. He just drops to the floor. And then the fact that Taryn's shadow goes over Xaden, who is a shadow manipulator, like, it just kind of, to me, was cool imagery that, oh, Taryn and Xaden were working together. His shadow is, I'm not saying it eloquently at all, but
that's okay.
You get my gist?
I get you. Okay. The brain cell be working between us.
Good. It's got to work for one of us at least. Bare minimum.
You'd hope.
Alrighty. Let's dive into our last chapter. Did you have the epigraph highlighted at all here?
I do.
Me too. Why did you highlight it?
Because Brennan says no one stays friends forever, and I would like to counter that. Because you and me, babe. You and me, babe. You and me, friends forever. You, Brennan.
In my notes, this really makes me grateful that we're each other's villains.
Yeah, we totally are, aren't we?
I love that we both went with each other, though, for this. Like, this is our thought process. Violet says here, breakfast doesn't matter. I couldn't give a shit if I missed formation. I love this line for so many reasons. A, Xaden knows this. Dane does not. Also, she ends up doing exactly this after she leaves Markham's office. She skips breakfast and misses formation. I'm like, book ends. This is nice. Xaden comes out with 2 mugs and offers one. And he's like, it's coffee. Sigale says you haven't slept. And I was just like, he brought her coffee. This is one of my favorite things that Dan does. He did it for me this morning. I've been into making cold brew lately. So I technically already have the coffee made in the fridge. It just needs to be poured. And because I can't drink coffee if it's black in any state, I have to have a bit of creamer with it. So he fixed it up for me and set it on my desk so I could have it to edit to. I was just like,
wait.
The way to my heart every time.
Of all of my partners, past and present, I am the only one who drinks coffee.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I know. So, like, none of them make coffee for themselves. I can't say anyone's ever made coffee for me unless I've specifically asked them, because I also, like, have a Keurig where you kind of have to know how to use it. Like, thinking about it, like, especially knowing that they don't drink coffee, to go out of their way to learn how to make me a cup of coffee to bring it to me would be really fucking sweet.
Yeah. And Dan's not much of a coffee drinker. He'll drink it on occasion. Like, out of the entire pitcher of cold brew that we make, he'll have a cup. And the rest is me. Loved it.
Coming off of the, Sigale says you haven't slept.
Yeah, this was in my favorite.
I love Violet grumbling to Taryn, quit telling Sigale about my sleep habits. Taryn saying, I'm not dignifying that demand with a response. And Violet's rebuttal of, and Darna is my favorite. Like,
hit him where it hurts.
Oh, so sassy. So good. Oh my gosh. Adorable. Adorable bickering.
Mm-hmm. I love
it. Yeah, so Violet's thinking about what Mira had said about how she doesn't know anything about Xaden. It says, I know almost nothing about him, and yet I feel like I know who he is in the very marrow of his bones. I really love that line, and it made me wonder, like, how important do you think it is to know, like, the smaller details about someone when you have such a strong connection with them?
And it's one of those things because their relationship isn't defined yet. And so it's like, how do you then go about navigating wanting to know somebody more when you aren't necessarily friends, but you're not lovers, but you've also made it clear there's interest on both sides. And
yeah, very complicated little relationship.
So to go along with that line of Mira was right, I know almost nothing about him. Later on, she then says, Mira's words have haunted me for 2 days. And I was like, damn it, Mira, your mind games, they worked. We talk about birthdays. The first time we recorded this episode was the first episode we done since both Rebecca Yarros herself and Xaden Ryerson have had birthdays. So the lines of, I don't even know how old you are now. Xaden says 23. My birthday was in March 31st. Cause I'm a creep. So then Violet's like, mine is in, and he's like, July. He answers with a ghost of a smile. I know. I made it my business to know everything there was to know about you the second I saw you on the parapet. Violet responds, because that's not creepy.
And S is like,
S.
yo, that's creepy.
And it's one of those things, like, this would be really creepy IRL, but I eat it up in books. And it's like that book double standard. And I wonder if this is Rebecca, like, just poking fun at the reader, like, yeah, this is creepy, you shouldn't like this, but I know that you do. And then she asks what changed, because he makes a creepy joke about it, like, can't know how to end somebody, kind of a thing. And she's finally fed up. She's like, well, what changed? When exactly did you decide not to ruin me? And I'm like, love confession adjacent number 2? He says, maybe it was when I saw Orin holding a knife to your throat. Or maybe it was when I realized the bruises on your neck were fingerprints and I wanted to kill them all over again just so I could do it slowly. Maybe it was the first time I recklessly kissed you. Or when I realized I'm fucked because I can't stop thinking about doing more than just kissing you. And then in her mind, he says, does it even matter when? As long as it's changed between us. And I wiggle slowly in the corner.
Oh my gosh. I love that paragraph. So juicy, so good.
I mean, there are so many red flag statements going on throughout all of this, but also because of book double standards, I don't care.
After he said all this and she says, don't do that. And again, in her head, he says to her, don't do what? Tell you that I can't get you out of my head or speak directly into yours. My God, my heart, it can't take it. Let's just get this ball rolling.
Xaden loves how smart his girl is, and here's how I know. So, as soon as he says that line, she's like, either. He's like, you learn to do it too. Come on, give it a try. And I just loved that he's like encouraging, because it's not something he wants to hold over her. A, because it'd be really hot probably to hear her voice in his brain. And B, all of my tracking of him being supportive of her versus Dane being protective of her, he wants them to be on equal footing. And so having this upper hand while he obviously is having fun with it, in the long run, he doesn't want to be the only one that can do this. So it's like, get up here with me. Like, I'm going to yank you up to my level. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And then when she does figure it out, he's like, look who figured it out. And it says Aiden's mouth quirks upward for a heartbeat. This man who is so in control of his feelings and his facial muscles when he's around others can't help but smile because she fucking figured it out. Not immediately because he's done it to her before, but like as soon as she actively tries, she gets it. And he's just like, fuck, she's smart. And I love it. And I love when people like, this is one of the things that drew me to Dan was his quick wit and how sharp he fucking is. And I find it so attractive in other people. And so I love it when, like, especially in books when I'm reading from the main female character's POV, when he loves her for her brains, because I'm like, I totally vibe with this.
Hell yeah.
Also, I wrote specifically in my notes, this is the 4th time he's been impressed with her quick mind, but I don't reference any of the other times he's done it, so I don't know what they are.
But you're keeping count nonetheless.
Apparently. I don't remember.
It's fine.
Dane arrives, and he's like, are you hungry? Do you want breakfast? To which Xaden's like, no, dumbass, she doesn't, obviously, into Violet's mind. Oh, Dane, how does Xaden know Violet better than you do?
Honestly. But also, goddamn, I fucking love you, Xaden. Fuck you, Dane. He's sassy. He's sassy. Oh, he's so sassy.
And then Markham arrives. So this is what Violet called in the last chapter, when she's like, this sounds like the exact kind of thing we wouldn't hear about in Battle Brief. And Markham, first of all, has the gall to stare at Violet with disapproval because she's showing emotion. And I believe when she had archives duty last time, she couldn't show emotion to Markham because that's what he would expect. So the fact that she's like showing emotion now and he's just being an ass about it, I'm just like, give me the ick, dude. But he says, you know I can't give out classified information. If there's anything to be discussed, we'll do it in Battle Brief. I'm like, so it's classified, so you wouldn't have known about it.
So you wouldn't have talked about it in Battle Brief.
So Violet's worked up, and it says, my hand's starting to tremble as I squeeze the pewter of the mug she's holding harder and harder. Xaden takes the mug from me. I just highlighted it because he notices this about her. Dane's there and he's not noticing. She's visibly getting upset. He's not doing anything, but Xaden sees it and he's like, I'm gonna take that from you before you decide to use it as a weapon or you hurt yourself. And I just thought it was sweet. Like, again, it's a sign of him like being more observant and not as oblivious as Dane, and that he knows Violet better than Dane, who's known her practically his whole life. Probably because he's so observant. And they can speak into each other's minds, but, you know.
That's a whole nother thing.
She hears that nobody, or there weren't any lost riders at Montserrat. It says, my knees give out and Dane catches me, pulling me into a familiar hug as relief floods my system. Then, the second I have myself in hand, I step out of Dane's arms. Xaden is gone. And I was just like, I want to know how you take it. Like, do you think Xaden's feelings were kind of hurt because suddenly Dane's there to swoop her up and like, I can't handle watching her in somebody else's arms, so I'm going to leave the situation? Or do you think it's like they both need this from one another because they both have known Mira their whole lives? I'm going to give them this moment and step out.
I think it's more so that, more of the like, I'm going to give them a moment of privacy and understanding like Dane's feelings be fucked, like fuck him. But understanding that like Dane is the closest thing she has to a brother at this point, and that their tension aside would be the one that she would go to for comfort normally. I can definitely see it being a like, I don't want to see y'all all over each other, so I'm like a little bit. I could see him being a little bit jealous, but I think mostly.
¿Por qué no los dos?
¿Por qué no los dos? ¿Por qué no los dos? But yeah, I think more of it is like trying to be considerate of Violet's feelings and trying to give her a little bit of space and understanding that like Dane is going to be her main like source of comfort in this moment, and to let her have that.
But also, if I have to watch them hug, I'm gonna punch him in the face, so I gotta leave.
Yeah.
Right before she steps out of Dan's arms, it says there's only one place I can go, one person who won't chide me for crumbling. Then says there's a ruffle of air, and then the hard feel of scales against the backs of my hands. I lean forward into Andarna's shoulder, sagging against her. And I was like, oh.
It's so sweet.
The one person who won't chide her for crumbling is Andarna. And this is just like another insight into how similar both Violet and Andarna are. I don't think Violet's somebody that would chide somebody else for showing emotion, or the fact that she feels like she can only go to Andarna. I think just A, shows how strong their bond is, B, shows how similar they think in that like they're both just very compassionate, very caring creatures. I loved that. It was really sweet. Violet's asking Xaden random questions at random moments to try to get to know him, and it feels a little elementary school, but it's very cute. It says, maybe it's Mira's comment about me not knowing enough about him, or maybe it's my own conflicting emotions, but he knows way more about me than I do him, and I need to level this playing field. Girl is hyper fixated on getting to know this man, and I kind of relate a little too much to it.
I get it as well. Like when I was a wee bit younger, one of my favorite things to do to like get to know someone, especially if we had mainly like a text based communication style, was to play 21 questions, because I mean it's straightforward. So yeah, this is definitely something like I would absolutely do. I love that it's so random, just like out of nowhere. And it's like one question at a time every couple of days. It's great.
Violet then asks him during Battle Brief what his favorite food is. And this jars him and he accidentally drops something in the back of the class. She's pretty sure she doesn't know because she doesn't turn around. He's like, chocolate cake. Stop being weird. And with Xaden's birthday having passed since last recording, everybody draws little or makes actual chocolate cake for Xaden's birthday and posts it online. And I just think that's really sweet.
That's really cute.
Yeah, we should do something like that next March, because we'll probably still be talking about this series.
If nothing else, it's just an excuse to have chocolate cake.
Honestly, I may have convinced Dan to get me chocolate cheesecake.
Yum. This, of all the questions she asks him and his like responses, this one is my favorite. Just the stop being weird. It's just so adorable. It just amuses me.
Especially because it's so random and at seemingly inappropriate times. And so he's just like, I don't even... like, you know,
I love it.
He starts to question her about the questions, and she says, tell me something real. And I'm like, maybe baby steps and not what's your deepest trauma.
Honestly.
And she thinks, after having asked about the silver scars she noticed on his back, I instinctively knew the scars were private, but his reaction says there's more to them than just a painful memory. And I'm just like, foot, meat, mouth, times 10. I can't imagine somebody having that many scars on their back and it not coming from some sort of trauma. So like, where was the thought process in bringing that one up? I don't get it. I was just like, your sheltered side is showing.
So Taryn asks her, are you pushing for a reason? She says, can you give me one not to? He says, he cares for you. That's already hard enough for him. Violet says, he cares about keeping me alive. There's a difference. Not for him, there isn't. First of all, Taryn gets it. We love Taryn. But also the fact that he's kind of standing up for Xaden, like, girl, why are you doing this? Like, why are you pushing so hard? Like, what's up? Because you have to imagine that when they are all so intricately linked, that like Taryn and Xaden have to be starting to form some kind of relationship. And it seemed sweet. I think maybe he cares a little bit.
But also I think maybe he knows more than he's letting on.
Yeah.
What do you know that you're not telling?
Everybody keeping secrets. I know it.
The quote, it says, Dane is acting weird as fuck. Friendly one minute and indifferent the next. Xaden is getting more secretive, if that was even more possible. Canceling some of our training for unexplained reasons. Even Taryn feels like there's something he's not telling me. Just wanted to know your thoughts on both of those.
Literally in my notes, I said, everybody's hiding something. I know it. Like, everybody got secrets. That's not fair. Tell them to me.
Tell
Now.
them to me specifically.
Specifically. Everyone else can be fucked. Tell me. Something's going on. Something's going on.
And especially to have Dane and Xaden acting weird in the same paragraph makes me think that maybe they're correlated.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Dane's not acting weird simply because of Violet and Dane's new dynamic. So I can't remember when we talked about this a couple episodes back maybe, where Dane and her makeup before squad battles, I believe. He like pulls her aside before she's able to go. It's right after the kiss because she's about to go to Car's class for the first time. And he pulls her aside and they make up kind of. And she's like, wait, have you been trying to get me away from Xaden, essentially? And so that has been in the back of my brain. And I'm like, does it have to do with this? Does Dane know that Xaden's doing something or vice versa?
But Liam, talking about dragons in general, says, guess dragons hold grudges. Amuses the shit out of me. Doesn't surprise me in the least bit. And I guarantee Taryn has more than a few.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I want to know what that's about.
I don't know if you remember who Glean is. Glean is the dragon that Caroline Ashton ended up bonding. They've had their first flight. Taryn says, like, Glean's rider back there who fell. Violet tries to see it over his Morningstar tail. They see Jack with some girl, and he's like, I knew it would work. And she wasn't unbonded, and she ended up bonding with Glean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So interesting that Day, Liam's dragon, has a grudge with Glean. And what is it? I want to know. Give me the dragon drama.
I want all the dragon tea. Give it to me. I know it's juicy.
It's got to be.
Basically, Violet's talking or thinking about how Jack's given her a bit of a wider berth that, kind of everyone has since Orin and the other kids were executed who had attacked her. And says, and of course, everyone stopped fucking with me after Amber Mavis. Like, good. They're not complete idiots then. Like, someone's got brains at least. I just appreciated that.
'Tis a good one. I like that call.
So I think it's Violet who asks, why do you think riders wear black anyway? And Riddick, just because it's badass. Because it's Riddick. And of course that would be his answer. But then Imogen's answer is also so perfectly Imogen of, so it's harder to see when we bleed. Just, I love their dynamic. I love them together. I love how they play off of each other. And I officially ship them. They're my OTP now. I love them.
I can't see their dynamic being more than friends though. Because I feel like eventually Riddick would annoy the fuck out of her.
I could definitely see her growing a soft spot for him.
After leadership disperses, Violet fakes surprise when she hears what their goal is, whether it's offense or defense. And it says, and I glance past him being Dane, but Xaden and the section leaders are nowhere to be seen. And I was like, Violet looking past Dane to glimpse Xaden? I love this passive dig.
Yes.
So she's mind speaking again to Xaden, and she asks, you gave Dane the mission to defend Fourthwing's flag? I'm hoping he learned something from your sister's lesson at Montserrat. This was that foreshadowing I said about the powers and taking it into account. It's funny that Xaden is saying that I'm hoping he learned something from your sister because, as we'll see here soon, he also learned something from Mira. It says, from the sounds of it, Dane was paying attention to Mira. The plan is simple. Play to our individual strengths and pass the flag often. Never giving First Wing a chance to spot who is carrying it. I was like, he can learn.
He can be taught.
Yes.
Speaking of Taryn, he stands tall and proud at the front of our section, not bothering to give deference to Kath as Dane's dragon. First of all, love that. It feels like a little bit of a dig at Dane, but maybe I'm reading into things. But also, Taryn stands behind no one. He is Daddy Dragon. He will be in the front. He don't give a shit about hierarchy. He is the top.
Mine is a little bit after that. In that same paragraph, it says, it's not his position that steals my breath. It's the saddle strapped across his back that has me gawking. And then Taryn's response is a favorite, so I'm going to save that. But
that's also one of my favorites.
What are your thoughts on timeline of the saddle? Because I feel like it must have been in development before Montserrat. I don't know how long it takes to make a saddle, but
one would think more than a day.
I do remember Mira says, when do war games start? And Dane says 2 weeks. So we've got about a 2-weekish jump.
Okay. So I could see that, yeah.
So I don't know how long it takes to make a saddle, specifically one for a dragon as large as Taryn. So do you think this was encouraged by Mira being like, this is Aiden earning her trust by making sure she keeps her seat, like Mira asked? And how much of it do you think is he already had this in the works?
I very much took it as like Mira telling him this is what kind of like gave him the kick in the pants to like really get on it.
It was in the works, probably then.
It might have been.
If there was a prototype in 2 weeks and then also a second one made.
Aiden is getting more secretive, if that were even possible, canceling some of our training for unexplained reasons. So maybe he was just like, okay, I gotta get this done. I'm gonna make more room for myself to do so, or more time for myself to do so.
Maybe. I guess I wish I would know more about the curriculum for writers, because it's like, how is Xaden as a 23-year-old just like willy-nilly doing whatever he wants, leaving classes, you know, like
Yep. Like wing leader or not, like
yeah. Does this man go to school? Like, what is happening? I think it's a bit of both, honestly. I think he started it already because he gave her daggers already. Like, clearly he's not opposed to giving her gifts. I think it's his love language, especially because they were flying together to see why she couldn't keep her seat. Violet tries to refuse the saddle, and Taryn says, I decide what's allowed and what's not. There is no rule that says a dragon cannot modify their seat to serve the rider. You have worked just as hard, if not harder, than every rider in this quadrant. Just because your body is built differently than the others doesn't mean you don't deserve to keep your seat. It takes more than a few strips of leather and a pommel to define a rider. And I just wrote, I could weep. This is so sweet. I love Grump Dad.
Same. And I just love that like he understands her so well and like understands her disability and like what she is and what she is capable of and where she needs help, and doesn't make her feel bad for that. I love you, Papa Dragon.
Taryn is saying all of this just in Violet's head as far as I'm aware. But then Xaden shows up and says out loud, he's right, you know, as if he also heard. I'm just like, I need clarification on how this bond between the four of you works.
Same. Getting a little confusing.
Xaden says, if you don't use it, I'll take personal offense, considering I had it made for you and just about got myself burned alive in the process of trying to get it on him. And I'm just like, they worked together? That's so cute. The fact that he was willing to work with someone who's a bit of a thorn in his scale. He's willing to work with him in order to keep his riders safe. This kind of hurts a little bit because I'm like, is this based off of trauma with your last rider? Because
he done diddly died.
Yes. It just also shows how strong Taryn's bond is with Violet, that he's like, I'll do whatever it takes to make sure I don't lose you. I love him.
Also, his response to this is one of my favorites, but I don't care, I'm saying it now. The first models were unacceptable, and you had the gall to pinch my chest scales when clumsily assembling it this morning. Sassy Dragon Dad, I love you.
And then Xaden, like, how was I to know the leather from the prototype would burn so easily? And it's not like there are a lot of manuals on fitting a saddle to a dragon. He just gives it right back. So the squad have embarked on their mission, and Violet starts to feel her power rise and is scared it's finally going to backlash against her.
The fact that Andarna comes running up, I want to battle too, like, you sweet baby angel. Oh, you're so adorable. And the fact that, like, Violet doesn't even really second guess it. She's just like, okay, camouflage yourself and let's go. Like, make sure you can keep up.
Violet is up in the saddle finally, and it says, the saddle itself is sumptuous black leather, complete with 2 raised pommels for my hands, and when I settle in, it fits like a dream. My brain went, fits like a dream, huh? Xaden would have a good idea of your measurements after that kiss when he lifted you up by your ass.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. Goddamn.
Right? The fact that it fits her perfectly, I'm just like, he must have done due diligence when they kissed.
He would take notes. So for me, this is like a little bit of a foreshadowing moment. She says, I don't bother pointing out that the only fire we'd be taking is from other dragons, which is a problem that doesn't exist. Yeah, that definitely feels like foreshadowing. I think there's definitely going to be some dragon battles, and I have a feeling that there have already been some dragon battles in the past, and that's like some of the things that we haven't been told about.
I also highlighted this for foreshadow as well, but literally for this chapter. Like, it happens.
That is true. It do happen. Violet thinks, I'm wondering if this assignment is actually meant as punishment for Dane and not an honor. Yeah, at least a little bit. Like, yeah, he knew what he was doing. Like, Zayd knew who he was given this fucking assignment to. And I love him for that, amongst many other reasons.
Mm-hmm. But mostly because of that.
Yes. So they're in the midst of the battle, and Violet sees Jack, and Jack is battling Liam. It says there's barely time for Liam to gain his feet before Jack thrusts the sword through his side.
Not my Liam.
Not the boy. The boy.
This is where my heart fell through my asshole.
I was so upset. I'm still upset. I'm mad about it. I swear to God. He better be all right. Violet realizes that they are too high. There is no way they are not going to be able to catch him in time. And she says, I refuse to lose him. Not when he's dedicated so many months of his life to keeping me alive. Failing isn't an option. It's just not. As a girl, me too. I will not lose this boy. I refuse. Not poor precious Liam. I will not accept it.
Did you cry at all?
I don't think so. But I'm not going to lie. I read this a little while ago. So I may have teared up a little bit and I just don't remember because I block out trauma.
I'm tearing up now even just talking about it. These pages in my book are so warped from crying every time.
Because technically we don't know for sure by the end of this chapter if he's okay. We know that he was caught, but he was still fucking run through. Like, we can hope that the healers will do their magics. But, like, there's still a chance that he's not okay. So once it has been assured that he has been caught, he is relatively safe, Violet gets angry and she thinks this is the last time this asshole will come after my friends or me. Goddamn, I'm so sick of this motherfucker. Like, Jack needs to go. Taryn transfers Liam to Rhiannon, and Violet is thinking he's alive. He has to be. It's the only outcome I'll accept. Like, girl, he fucking better be. Like, if he goes down, I'm going down with him. Violet is ready to just, like, freaking go down with the ship.
I will go down with this ship.
Yes. If it means that Jack is going down and, like, if she's taking him out and she has to go too, she's ready. She says, if this is it, if my power is backlashing, then I'll be damned if I don't take that asshole with me. Taryn is fireproof, but not Jack. And in my notes, I just put, hell hath no fury like a Violet protecting her friends. Jack falls down the mountainside in an avalanche of rock that I know he can't survive. And in my notes, I put, Jack go splat.
This line scares me, though.
Yeah.
Where's the body? You're just saying that you know he can't survive it. Did you see it?
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Cierra, I swear to Christ, if he did not go splat, I'm gonna be pissed.
Just a question.
Yeah, just a question. Just an innocent little question. Planting seeds of doubt. How dare you?
I'm pulling a mirror. Alrighty. So let's head into our favorite moments, quotes, and predictions.
Yeah, pretty much just Riddick being himself, like, in multiple scenes. But especially when he's just flopping down on the couch and Sawyer tells him, we don't have time for you to be you. Love that. Mira laying into Dane and just, like, telling him to shut the fuck up because yes.
Yes.
There is one, like, actual line, and I'm pretty sure we did talk about it. Mira tells Violet, your power is yours and yours alone. I just really loved that line.
I loved Xaden just speaking into her mind because he knows she can't retaliate. And he says, you never considered that it was you I couldn't stay away from. And then his line of, now, you'll give our little communication secret away if you can't keep from being so violent, when she elbows him. And Violet thinks, my heart jumps as my sight goes black. Xaden thinks into her mind, relax, it's just me. A ghost of a touch skims my cheek. And it's very reminiscent to the night where he tells her the right way isn't the only way. And he skims her hurt cheek then with a shadow. And I'm just like, it reaffirms that that was actually him doing it then. And thought it was cute. Then she's starting to feel bad for Xaden because Mira is staring daggers at him. And he thinks, I hope you didn't get any ideas while we were in the dark there. And she's like, and just like that, my sympathy for the ass evaporates.
Yep. I love that.
Then I also favorited the, is this normal with all mated pairs and their riders? Taryn says, for some, it's a great advantage in a battle. And then she's like, well, it's a pain in my ass right now. So Taryn says, then shield him out the same way you do me, or start talking back. You have the power to be a pain in the ass too. Trust me.
Oh yeah, God, I love that. Oh,
so good. So Mira's pulled them into the hallway. She's going in on Xaden, and she's like, and you, is this what she can expect next year? And Xaden says, Ados being an asshole? Probably.
I love it. so much. Oh, I love my sassy paper man.
So she's mind speaking to Xaden as he's still in the leadership huddle. And she's like, are we on offense or defense? I ask Xaden, a little busy right now. No, am I distracting you? A smile curves my mouth. And then she thinks, shit, am I flirting? Maybe. Do I care? Oddly enough, no.
Yes. So good.
Karen's reaction to the saddle. I hear it's all the fashion.
Dragon Daddy knows he looks good.
And it says he brags. So like...
Oh, I love it.
After Xaden gives the tough love, it says he wasn't amenable to me giving it a test flight. Tan thinks, you can ride me when the flesh rots off my bones, wing leader. And Violet's like, well, that's descriptive.
Where Xaden is thinking, fuck, that stubborn, feisty look always makes me want to kiss you. He is not even trying to hide it.
Dane's dumb reaction to the saddle. And then Taryn being like, no, it's a collar.
Oh yeah, definitely a favorite. Xaden, again, speaking into her brain. Bet it would be even more awkward if I kissed you now, huh? She thinks to herself, yes, please. But then she thinks in her head she thinks to him, the next time we kiss had better not be just to piss off Dane. He says, next time, huh? Like, oh, that's so flirty. I love it. But do it. Come on, do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Violet says, this literally gives me goosebumps every time. I am the sky and the power of every storm that has ever been. I am infinite. I currently have goosebumps again. So we get into our song dedications. Chapter 25. I picked the song Run the World, Girls by Beyonce. However reluctant Violet may be, she's a natural leader with great ideas, and we love seeing her flexing her badassery. Also, Imogen showing innate leadership, Rhiannon making decisions for the squad to elect Imogen as leader for the squad battle. So many powerful ladies making the big moves, and we love to see it.
Ooh, yes. Mine is in the same vein. I went with Confident by Demi Lovato because you listen to that song, and first of all, that song will always give me confidence. And it's just so very much like this chapter, this scene, girls in fucking charge. And like for me, the song is just so Imogen coded. I absolutely love it.
For chapter 26, I picked Caramel, or Caramel, as it's pronounced in the song. I don't know how you say it. I always say caramel.
I say it both ways, depending on the context. But mostly I say caramel.
By Sleep Token, the scene I picked for this song is kind of a cheat because it's literally at the very end of this chapter. But it really relates to Xaden throughout chapter 27, the next one. But it still counts. Why? Because I said so. The song is a bit of a roller coaster, but it wouldn't be a Sleep Token song if it wasn't. It starts off with like a very music box lullaby sound at the beginning, and this kind of feels like leaving Reagan's house, who has a baby. And while this song is more about the dichotomy of fame, to a certain extent, I think Xaden knows exactly how this feels. He's not a musician, but his reputation definitely precedes him, and while he may not have had any choice in any of it, he wears the costume of dangerous trader's son well. But to tie it back into the chapter, he can't get enough of Violet, even knowing that he shouldn't. He can't help but stick to her like caramel. He's torn between his growing feelings for her and the ever-growing insurmountable responsibilities that weigh heavy on his shoulders that he never asked for. Some standout lyrics were, "This stage is a prison, a beautiful nightmare." So this is like a echoing part of the song. Too young to get bitter over it all. A war of attrition, I'll take what I'm given. Too old to retaliate like before. The deepest incisions, I thought I got better. Too blessed to be caught ungrateful, I know. But maybe I didn't.
I chose You're My Best Friend by Queen. And for me, it's just the Vi and Ree love story. It's the true love story here. Just Ree and Vi forever.
Five ever.
Five ever.
For chapter 27, I picked Bad Idea by Dove Cameron. I've been on a Dove Cameron kick lately. But this is kind of Violet's POV from the mock battle brief. The song kind of gives me circus / showgirl vibes. I know those aren't the same thing, but trust. And it fits putting on a show vibe of the scene. Thinking Xaden is a bad idea is one thing, but believing it is another. Some applicable lyrics where I know I shouldn't do it, but I'm gonna do it. Seems exactly where I shouldn't go. I'm running to it. I've been trying out the high road and I hate it. I've got a lot of sins, but you're my favorite. Baby, you're a bad idea, but I could use a few more years. I've got a little left in here. Funny how you reappear in the nick of time. I guess it didn't die. Can't say we didn't try. Baby, we're a bad idea. Fuck it. Let's do it again.
Earlier, I'm pretty sure I called their like mock battle brief thing like a mock trial. So the song that I chose is Just Can't Get Enough by Depeche Mode. Which, I mean, it does what it says on the tin. You know, Violet just cannot get enough. And honestly, neither can Satan. But it also, like, every time I hear the song, it reminds me of the Mary-Kate and Ashley movie Winning London, which also, like, is kind of about them doing a mock trial. So I don't know. For me, it just fit really well. And also, I've been listening to that song a lot lately, even outside of this. And it's such a jam. It's so good.
Gotcha. Deep pull. I forgot all about Winning London.
I want to watch it. Like right now.
Like a Mary-Kate Ashley movie marathon.
Yes.
I'm down. Alrighty, last chapter. So I picked Thunder by Lisa, made famous from Blackpink. This is an underdog female empowerment type beat. Violet stepping into her power, literally. Also kind of foreshadowing, and I'm gonna let you guess the foreshadowing parts. I will say I was so tempted to go with, is it Thunder by AC/DC? But I was like, that's so obvious. I almost picked a cello cover of that, and then found this one, and because of the lyrics, I was like, I'm gonna go with this one. Also because of the foreshadowing that I'm excited to tell you about later. So the lyrics are, make way, make way, make way, taking space up in the sky. I got that boom boom so high. When I step in, you gonna see why. I'll take my place up ahead. No, you said I'll never get by. Now look at me, I'm so high. You wanna know what it feels like? And then there's a lot of
Hi, buddy.
sounds in the song. Sounds that sound like something that is foreshadowing something. Sounds.
Interesting. For chapter 28, I picked Stolen Credit Card by 4 Year Strong. The name sounds really weird given the context, and I'm pretty sure the song doesn't have anything to do with stolen credit cards. Anyway, but the lyrics that really stood out for me are, if you're gonna tear me down, then you better have both feet planted on the ground. Open up your eyes and let the light in. Take a shot in the dark. I've got my ear to the ground and my eye on the prize. Take a leap of faith without learning to fly. It's my time to shine. I'm gonna light up the world till I'm the last one standing.
You wrote planters.
I did. I was hoping you wouldn't catch that.
My brain, every time I read it, I think of Mr. Peanut.
Mr. Peanut. Yes.
Okay. On that note, out.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this week's episode.
We're so excited to be on this journey with you.
Haven't had enough of us yet? Stick around for the bloopers and join us next week as we discuss everything that happened in chapters 29 through 31.
Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Bound to Be Bad Podcast.
And while you're at it, please be sure to leave a glowing rating and review on Audible and Apple Podcasts. It not only helps us grow, but plays a huge part in the growth of any podcast you listen to. So share the love.
Know a fellow book baddie who can't get enough of the Empyrean series either? Share us with a friend to give them something to hold on to till the next book release, because who knows when that will be.
Till then, we'll be here, and we hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Especially when in past relationships, I felt very annoying asking partners to like do or get things for me. Oh my gosh, Ezio, you're so cute.
He just bonked his head on the mic.
Yes, he did.
Stop doing it.